What's up, guys? Happy Monday. Welcome to Screen Junkies Universe. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to go through the Emmys, the tidal wave that was Schitt's Creek, the Watchmen, and Zendaya. Then we're going to get into the WandaVision trailer. Weeks with no news, and then in one fell swoop, we get two headlines in one show. Right, guys? We're just flush.
I was on a family Zoom and I saw that there was a WandaVision trailer and I wanted to just hang up on them, but I stuck through.
Just getting in there. Hang on.
Yeah, Joe seemed a little distracted. I was wondering what's going on.
Sorry, my wife was like landing a plane. I was mispronouncing Zendaya.
Oh, okay. This is like the Emmys, guys. It's cool. They do what we can do.
No, it's cool. She doesn't want those stands coming after me. And
just remember, Zendaya is Michi, and you'll never forget.
Eric Goldman, Spencer J. Gilbert. Hello, boys.
Good to be here, Joe. I'm glad we're on Maroon Shirt Monday.
Oh yeah, here on the SJU.
Blue, sorry.
It's cool. One of us had to go another way. Let's talk about the Emmy sort of overall before we kind of get into snubs and winners and losers and David Levy's very cool kilt. It was a weird show. Just overall, how'd you feel about this very weird show?
It's a funny thing, right? In 2020, how is everyone going to pivot? What are they going to do? It had its ups and downs. I thought it was interesting as an experiment, what they were doing. And there were definitely some moments I enjoyed and some moments that were super awkward, but I think that's what we accept everything comes with right now is a heavy dose of awkward. So there were things there were touches I really enjoyed about it. I also, Joe, you'll appreciate when I thought, wow, Jimmy Kimmel's coming to us from the Thunderdome when he had all the nominees surrounding him. But yeah, I think you just have to roll with the weird, or you just say, I can't deal with the weird in 2020. Because if they're doing the show at all, it was going to be odd. But I enjoyed it, I think, more than I did.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big, weird experiment because, how else are you going to do the show? No one really knows quite what works yet. Yeah. Spencer, did it work for you?
I'm going to keep it real with you, Joe. I watched about 10 minutes of this Emmys. I watched it in between a much more exciting Laker game, also happening inside a weird, bizarre, hermetically sealed environment.
Did they Thunderdome the Lakers game as well with digital screens of fans?
Yeah, there's fake fans, or real pictures of fake fans. I don't know how it works, but that was pretty exciting. And I would flip over to the Emmys once in a while and go, what are they wearing? That's interesting. Oh, Schitt's Creek again. Wow. It was fine. I mean, look, the Emmys is the award show that not only snubbed honest trailers in a huge omission this year, but also gave Game of Thrones final season the award for best television show of the year a year ago. And that tells you all the respect and attention it deserves.
Well, look, I mean, next year's short-form variety series is going to be a wild category because no one can do karaoke in carpools right now. It's not safe. So, who knows what happens. The hat on a hat for the Emmys this year that really eventually blew my mind because throughout the ceremony we were like, so what's going on and how does this work and why do some of them get statues and some of them don't? What's happening? When we actually realized that there was a person in a hazmat suit outside of every nominee's door, and then if you lost, they would just wave and leave.
Rami's tweet was so funny.
Yeah, that blew me away. That's what finally Usual Suspected the whole thing for me, and I got the full picture, But that absolutely blew me away.
That might be an indication that you maybe didn't have to have the ceremony this year.
Yeah.
If instead of deploying people with personal protective equipment that maybe could go to better use somewhere else, to just stand outside a famous person's gated community and just hold a trophy and then get back in your car and drive to Burbank where you live. Yeah. I think
this is where
later.
I guess this speaks to my love of weird things, and I'm glad they did it. I'm glad there was an army of hazmat suits that were decorated to look like tuxes. They had a bow tie on them. It was so freaking weird, but I kind of liked that they were like, okay, if we have to do this, we're just going to lean into how utterly bizarre it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, these guys, they were going to everyone's house.
One of them had to go all the way to Canada.
Yes. And Rami Youssef, he tweeted out like what happened when he lost, which is this guy tapping on his window and just waving goodbye. Hi, creepy hazmat suit guy with an Emmy you're not going to get. Just going off into the forest like Harry and the Hendersons to live his life.
Yeah.
This is just, I guess it's just a different point of view. You know, I feel this way about a lot of movies, and I feel this way about a lot of bands who are getting up there in age. Like, it's okay to not do something. Like, you don't have to do it. Just because you've always done it doesn't mean you have to keep doing it. If there was ever a year to not give out the trophies, it was this one. Like, did it, I didn't watch all of it, granted, but did this feel like a necessary event in your lives? There's barely even any television out anymore.
You know, it was tinged with like the same kind of sad that everything in 2020 has, where you're like, oh, I'm so glad that won. I sure wish that they had been able to have their proper moment in a auditorium full of people, and you know, like, so there was that little bit where it was like, oh, I'm so glad this thing's getting recognized. I wish it was not getting recognized on Skype.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, right? Because, I mean, there's a lot of great TV out there, and while it's starting to slow down, I mean, the eligible period ended in May or June. So we had a year of great TV, but it's like on one hand, you're like, oh, it's a distraction. It's something fun, but it's a distraction that by its nature is going to remind you of what's going on. So yeah, that's the double-edged sword. It's like, hey, it's fun to see celebrities doing wacky stuff, but also the bits are going to be about how, like, this was funny, right? Jason Bateman being his own standee, that made me laugh. Of course, it's going to remind you that we're in a hellscape pandemic and that the real audience can't be there. So that's the joy and sorrow of it happening.
Well, so let's get into ceremony a little bit, and I think this is a nice way to get into the winners and the losers. Prince Apupu in chat, all hail Prince Apupu, says they really just need a special achievement award specifically for shows who are on their last season. Because I think that this is what defined the show for a lot of people. You were either stoked that Schitt's Creek got their roses, or you were very irritated.
I see what you did there.
Roses. Hey! You know, like, it was one or the other. You were either like, oh, thank God, this show's been under the radar for so long and they've deserved these awards, or you were like, they're only getting these awards because this was their last season. I'm sure there were some people in between, but they're not interesting to talk about.
I'm sure they're getting their awards. It's a really good show. This is not to denigrate the quality, which is excellent, but I think they're getting it. It's the Netflix effect. It's a quarantine plus Netflix combo where the show's been on Netflix, kind of being talked about, but they haven't been doing anything to promote it or really surface it in people's feeds. It's been on there since like 2017 or something like that. But I feel like, and this is just a personal feeling, we all went into quarantine and everyone was like, what's a feel-good show? Like a family show. It's still funny that I can like kind of relax and there's enough of it to binge, and I haven't seen it before. Mm-hmm. Schitt's Creek, I feel like, was that show for a lot of people over these past few months, which is during the voting period. Whereas like perennial favorites like Ms. Maisel or whatever, this is the problem with dropping everything all at once. It dropped back in the before times, sometime in November, December last year, all at once. People probably... Because, Emmy voters love their Maisel. Oh, do they love their Maisel? They probably watched it all at once and then haven't thought about it, but they've been on a real Schitt's Creek kick. And I think that timing is really everything with a lot of these awards, and it was the perfect timing for it. And it's final season, and you love all those people from other things, so sure, why not give them all the awards?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel, too. First of all, I mean, I was saying this before we started filming. I haven't, in a world of so much TV, I haven't seen Schitt's Creek at all. And I haven't seen Succession at all, so I'm really qualified to talk about these shows. But yeah, you have the final season thing, and then yes, for sure, you could just feel all these people discovered Schitt's Creek in its final year, which is funny, but they did. That final season thing, it happens, and yeah, it's weird, but it's like I'm very glad, for instance, Kyle Chandler got an Emmy for Friday Night Lights in its final season. Was he discernibly better in the final season than the earlier seasons? Probably not. But that it was the last chance for him to get one for that great performance for 5 years, and that's the year they did it. So that does happen. It was a little weird to see it dominate so strongly, and again, having not seen that show, but having other comedies it was being like, oh, I want them to spread the love out. But those shows will at least have other chances, right? And there is, I will say, I was very happy with like Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, who have been so great for so long. It's like, yeah, these guys they deserve these big awards just for a career. And a career achievement is a weird thing that happens when, besides getting an actual career achievement award, you get just like a best actor, best actress, because we love you for so many things, and it happens.
Yeah, and you know, when you're I don't know, quantifying award points for art, those are all, everything I feel like is on the table, you know? Everything from this made me feel good while the world was going to hell to I've liked Catherine O'Hara for a long time and I want to vote for her. Like, it's art.
I've seen this one, but I haven't seen these other ones.
Yeah.
You still vote.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yes.
You know, quite frankly, straight down to my neighbor really likes this show, so sure.
My friend works on this one. I want them to have a job.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, all very solid movie fight and TV fight closing arguments that I would.
We should just go from IMDb rankings. Just hand out trophies in order of your IMDb.
2020 Emmys go to Dark Knight Rises. Boom. Okay, well, let's jump into some of the actual big winners and losers. Obviously, Schitt's Creek won Outstanding Comedy Series, supporting actor, supporting actress, writing, directing. Acting wins for Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, Annie Murphy. The one, you know, obviously, Eugene Levy's a comedy legend. Catherine O'Hara is one of my favorite actresses. But the one here where I was just like, hell yes, that's earned no matter what season they are, is Annie Murphy. I feel like there's just something really special about her. I think she's a really awesome performer.
Yeah, I would take a little tack with you on whatever season, because to me, her performance has gotten so much better. And a lot of it is just the show figuring out what's funny about her character and how she plays it. But I think that she would get like a well-deserved supporting actress Oscar and like a most improved Oscar for me throughout the course of the show. She's just only gotten funnier and more comfortable in that role, whereas all the other ones are like, I mean, they came in, hit the ground running on day one. Yeah, Eric, this is a show where certainly all of the performance awards are like unimpeachable. Like these, the show is funny, it's cute. They're making nice jokes around and at each other, but it's all the performance, like the way it's delivered, the commitment, and like the sweetness that they're able to channel is what makes it a cut above.
They're just nice Canadians, man.
Yeah, they're nice Canadians. You want to spend time with them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of nice Canadians, let's talk about Watchmen. Watchmen crushed this too. Outstanding limited series, writing for a limited series. Regina King won. Yaya won for his role as Dr. Manhattan. I mean, is there any surprise on this? You know, aside from I rarely know any nominees for best miniseries, like I've rarely heard of any of them, which I feel bad for. But, you know, I feel like Watchmen was this weird Venn diagram of comic book genre cool and also prestige, you know, TV with a message, which, you know, obviously award shows love. So, I mean, was there any shock that they came in and won a ton of awards?
Not big surprise, but I was very happy about it. I mean, because like you said, it checked every box, and Watchmen is like the absolute ideal, you know, as a longtime comic book reader, of what you would want from an adaptation: crowd pleasing, critic pleasing, award pleasing. It would have been surprising if it didn't win, I think, to some extent, but there's nothing wrong with that. It was such an accomplishment. Damon Lindelof, you know, has really stuck to his guns. He's not going to do a season 2, and HBO seems pretty much to back that they're not going to do one without him, at least anytime soon. And so, yeah, it
that's
was
key.
What'd you say?
I said that's key.
That's key, right? And, you know, we'll see if they stick to that 5 years from now. But just knowing it was a limited series, especially with this creative team involved, you wanted to see it get its due right now because it was the one chance it had. So that I was extremely happy that Watchmen is just everything it could possibly accomplish. It's done at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Great show. I will just say that if you missed it this year, Mrs. America and Unorthodox were both fantastic. Very different from Watchmen. Not as much punching and kicking, but Mrs. America, if you're into like Mad Men or dramatized history, for sure. And Unorthodox is just a very gripping and tense story about a woman trying to escape a very oppressive environment. So those were both really, really good. But Watchmen had like you said, it checked every box, whereas those were just good.
And, I still have people on Twitter who say, I will never watch anything David Lindelof does again because of things that he did that they didn't like in the past. Guys, watch Leftovers, watch Watchmen. They're great.
Yeah, he's stuck a couple landings now.
Some big ones, yeah.
Yeah, he has stuck some major landings. Let's talk about our other sort of big winner here was Succession. Did not shock me. I feel like this show came in kind of out of nowhere and didn't need the slow word of mouth, slow burn or anything like that. Succession just sort of arrived and was great and big, right? Like they won Outstanding Drama. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, it felt like, again, I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list, guys. I promise. It felt like the narrative I kept hearing was the first season took a little bit to find its footing, but this second season, everyone just seemed to be raving about. It leveled up
season 2, and it got some nods, I think, last year for its first season. People were kind of getting hip to it, and I think that it didn't get all the performance nominations that I think it deserved, but it did get like a best series nomination, though it didn't win. That would be Game of Thrones season 8. But this year, there's a Game of Thrones shaped hole in the Emmys now. And this is kind of the successor to that show in the sense that it's a big prestige HBO the closest thing we have to a water cooler show anymore was people, when it was on, people were talking a lot about Succession week to week. Yeah. And Eric, you should check it out. It's really good.
Yeah, and I promise. Jeremy Strong definitely. This was his season. And that was definitely a much deserved win for him for the celebration rap alone. Really,
yes. L to the OG.
Was intrigued.
Absolutely Emmy worthy. Eric. Yeah, you'll dig. It's Game of Thrones if Westeros was the Fox News empire.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, that works.
Hopefully with a final season that is less anger-inducing.
And then finally, Zendaya won Best Lead Actress in a Drama for Euphoria, which it's a good show.
Love Euphoria.
Yeah, Euphoria is a good show. She's a great young actress. A lot of stacked categories this year. I think part of the big drama of her winning was that, it was a stacked category, but a lot of them were. There are a lot of kind of just impossible voting choices this year.
I think, wasn't she like the youngest winner ever in this category, I think?
Yeah.
And did you see, I don't want to be old man dunks on kids, but did you see the very amusing thing with the Twitter thread where some outlet put biggest upset, Zendaya winning? And a lot of people didn't understand what upset meant in that context. They thought they were saying the thing that made them the most upset.
I am being upset right now.
There was a very funny back and forth in the Twitter conversation.
You got to figure that Jennifer Aniston, Sandra Oh, and like Olivia Colman split the boomer vote. It was like a three-way boomer split, and then Zendaya was able to take that lane.
Yeah. Oh yeah, snuck in. There are a bunch of them. I thought Best Lead Actress in a Comedy Series was impossible. Catherine O'Hara, Christina Applegate, and Linda Cardellini for Dead to Me. Who else was in that category? It was
good
stacked.
people.
Yeah, really phenomenal, talented people. Tracy Ellis Ross.
Yeah.
Ray Seahorn.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. She was snubbed throughout the... I think
call Saul. I don't get it, man. They get no respect.
I mean, they have one more year, so all we can hope is that it's going to get that final season thing, right?
Yeah. Next year they sweep.
Especially for her. Yeah, she's got to get nominated and win. And it's like, I'm saying maybe she won't be as great. She'll be great. Maybe she won't be as great next year as she was super great this year, but I still want her to win, right? Because it's like for the entirety of that performance.
So the only other sort of big things to chat about, ratings dipped. Are we surprised?
No. I mean, look, I'm not shocked that people didn't want to watch another Zoom meeting, no matter how famous the people were on the screen.
Yeah.
And also,
other than this show, of course.
Except this show. This show you should watch. But the other thing is, it's going to just keep happening because all it keeps happening every year is more shows with a more fragmented audience. And so it used to be 20 years ago, there was a much better shot that we could have all seen all the nominated shows, right? Yeah. Now it's like, oh man, okay, do you have these 7 streaming services and 8 cable? There's like so many different things you even have and have to watch. So you're not going to have a bunch of shows where it's like the huge audience behind that because it's so split up. So there's going to be a lot of people like, none of my shows are nominated and just won't care to watch.
Yeah. Well, I've got to assume too that I don't have numbers in front of me, but I think a lot of shows that are having to go these sort of odd virtual routes are down. Everybody's shows look weird right now, and so they're tuning out.
Except this one. Keep watching this one.
Yeah, obviously, stick with us, Well, I think YouTube has a bit of an easier time because everyone's just standing in front of Funko walls anyway. But, now that, like, the Emmys and wrestling and the NBA are having to perform in front of a wall of Funko Pops, like, I think it's tuning people out until things get back to normal a little bit.
Oh man, I wish WWE now had just Funko Pops in an arena surrounding them all.
I would actually tune in for that. I think
there you go.
For fun. Spencer, is there a genre of TV that would be improved if you replace the audience with Funko Pops?
What wouldn't be improved? I think soap operas, right off the bat. The news. Mm-hmm. I can't really pay attention to anything unless I'm being stared back at by the dead, soulless eyes of a Funko Pop.
Did you guys see that clip of the from Bold and Beautiful where you could see that the actor's making out with a mannequin?
Yes. Incredible. Or why not make it a Funko Pop?
Right, exactly. Again, lean into the weird,
Oh, and by the way, it finally happened. One of the New York Comic-Con Funko exclusives is a Kevin Feige, or no, not a Kevin Feige, who's the current CEO of Disney?
It wasn't true, as sad as I was. It was Bob Iger, but it turned out to be one of those, Twitter accounts that makes it, I thought it was real, but it wasn't. And that was a little sad, right?
I await the day that the only thing we celebrate is the opposing studio heads of Warner Brothers and Disney. And everyone just cosplays as them.
They're the real heroes, Joe.
They're the real heroes, and I await the day. You guys, you know what else I await? Fandom 5 this Friday, baby.
Oh, we got another one. Okay.
We're going a little later in the afternoon, sort of doing a little happy hour style with this one. It's about The Simpsons.
Oh, why can't I be in this one? Come on.
Hey, you can always just wear...
I'll just do it with a mustache.
Yeah, call yourself...
Hello, I'm Mr. Burns.
So yeah, Simpsons this time, guys. There's a link in the description. Sign up and jump into this one. They're super fun. We've got the Disney one up on YouTube. We convinced the powers that be to just let the world see it. So make sure you check out that show. They're super fun. A contestant sang Colors of the Wind to us. It was lovely. So make sure you guys check that show out.
We had half winners last time, Joe. Literally half of the people won money.
We had a bunch of winners on this one. So that was all very, very cool. And then sadly, one man's tale of redeeming himself in the eyes of his girlfriend ended in failure, but hopefully there's a happy ending and they realize
hopefully the relationship is good.
Yeah, I really hope the relationship is good. Anyway, a lot of drama in these shows. Do relationships end? Will people sing? There's only one way to find out, and that is to tune in. That's it, guys. WandaVision. Talk about it.
Oh, there's that's better than a Funko. Look at that.
That's much better than a Funko. What are you doing?
I feel like you're like a supervillain who shrunk. What's her name? Elizabeth Olsen.
Yes. Yeah. And Paul Bettany. Yeah. They have them all in cases. They're trying to get out.
Welcome to Kandor. Isn't that the name of the Krypton in a bottle?
Yes.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. WandaVision. What'd you guys think?
I'm all in. I keep endorsing weird this week on this episode, but WandaVision is very out there. I did see someone make a comparison. It was a good comparison to the weirdest thing Marvel had done, which was not done by Marvel Studios, which was Legion. But for Marvel Studios proper, this is the first time I think that they're doing something pretty out there, and I'm glad to see that. And I like that it's confusing and that we don't quite although we can have some pretty good guesses, especially if you've read the comics and what's happening. If you're watching that trailer, it's confusing, but I hope enticing for people because it's so strange and all the stylistic choices look so bold. So I'm very sold on WandaVision.
Yeah, I definitely think, especially if you are not a comics reader or a really intense fan, I think this was a good trailer to hook you in on something very strange happening that doesn't feel like anything the MCU's really done before. So I think if they were aiming to pique curiosity as to why anyone would want a Scarlet Witch Vision show for people who maybe those aren't necessarily their favorite characters, I think they've probably got people hooked pretty well. Spencer J. Gilbert?
Yeah, man, I'm all in. I love... this weekend I watched another thing that was... in some ways, all in somebody's head. I'm thinking of ending things, and Marvel is nothing if not great at taking art house fare and making it palatable and forcing it into a mass appealing audience and a story that kind of clicks with everybody. So taking a Charlie Kaufman, like I'm trapped in a dream and I don't know what's real and what isn't, but it's based. I'm conjuring these desires and loves out of my own brain, and then resolving it with a big CGI laser fest at the end is Marvel's bread and butter, and I can't wait. I think it looks great.
Yeah, I'm into this. I think now that we've seen a little more from the trailer, and we get the sense that what she's doing is having like a physical impact on the world. We saw sort of that security perimeter around what I'm assuming is the Truman Show-esque chunk that she's taken over. I think it reinforces my theory that she's the big bad for this phase. At least I'm hoping so. I think that would be great. But yeah, I think seeing the twins adds to the idea that they'll definitely build to Young Avengers before long. We have almost all of them in play. And then Catherine Hahn in anything is awesome. Yep. I think, it's long overdue that she got to really just steal the show on a main stage like an MCU or something like that, because she's awesome.
Since they've cast her in an unknown role, I've been like, okay, I bet she's someone significant then. And this trailer made me think that again, even with her being all trancy, but the fact that she knows Vision is dead, is the witch's hat a hint? Could she be Agatha Harkness, the witch who taught Scarlet Witch, except the younger version of her? But yeah, this trailer definitely made me still think that Catherine Hahn is playing someone significant at least to Wanda's life, as far as the comics are concerned.
Yeah. If nothing else, the only reason I would be like, I don't know, on the Agatha Harkness thing is that I think there are moments where the MCU doesn't do the obvious or hasn't done the obvious. So I'm wondering if maybe it's just like, she's a resident of this area that Wanda has taken over, and for whatever reason has a significant sort of like role to play in all of like this weird reality shifting.
Yeah, they've never felt the need. They've never felt the need to do exact adaptations, even when they've done adaptations like the Infinity Saga, pretty different in the comics. Civil War, very different. So if they're doing an adaptation again of what I heard was rumored was the House of M storyline, clearly, especially since mutants aren't a thing yet, they're just taking it as maybe some emotional beats, some guidelines on like a general outline of a story possibility, but they are not the type of studio that takes the comics as gospel and recreates them kind of beat for beat.
Even when they take exact titles like Civil War and Age of Ultron, it's not a page-for-page adaptation.
Returning right back to His Eminence, Principupu, says, so this is House of M, right? And I don't think it's House of M, because it'd be weird if she ended this by saying no more mutants, and there aren't.
Right.
But I do think what they're doing with this is doing all the building to Avengers Disassembled. I do think they're doing the work to have Scarlet Witch break down and do something terrible. So I think that they are adapting elements of several like Scarlet Witch focused stories.
I don't think it could also just be like, go ahead.
Potentially, it could be House of M reversed, where at the end she creates mutants instead of ending mutants. That's what I saw some people in the chat mentioning that, and that being shared around.
Totally, yeah, that's the way to get them into the MCU. Is like ever since this event, whatever they end up calling it, where she said, "Oh yeah, give me more mutants," and then we then snapped her fingers. Now, what a relief we have the Cyclops again. I can totally see them just using it as a springboard to bringing mutants in rather than taking them out.
Yeah, I don't think it's like this is an adaptation of House of M, but I think that Feige keeps saying this will be her really becoming the Scarlet Witch, a name that has never been used in the MCU, by the way. So we're just going to see this is how powerful she is. She can literally recreate reality to set up bigger things she can do later. Do you guys think, as I do, so you see that cool part, I'm a big Monica Rambeau fan. She was my Captain Marvel as a kid, where she's kind of sucked through, like it looks like she leaves WandaVision and comes to the real world with that perimeter you mentioned. And I'm guessing now that's where you get your Jimmy Woo, because he can be part of that group of FBI agents there. And you can get your Darcy, because you need a scientist who's going, this is what's going on. So I'm guessing the perimeter will bring us a lot of those characters we know are in this from the MCU.
Yeah. I was wondering if Rambeau was getting kicked out. Like maybe...
That's what I think, yeah.
Yeah, like she infiltrated. Like I don't think she's created by the whatever it is that's going on. I think she got in somehow and then immediately got her ass tossed out.
Yeah.
was kind of my thought. Elveto says Elizabeth Olsen is a remarkable actress. This show will really let her shine in the MCU. Agreed. She's really good in everything I've ever seen her in, and I'm excited to see her be able to do a little more than just intensely go like that.
Yeah, and also
hands
Civil
and
War,
grimace,
which her figure is doing. Because Civil War and Infinity War had some heavy lifting to do that they couldn't quite pull off. And I love those movies of like their relationship. They were trying in 3 or 4 scenes to kind of be like they're really in love. Mm-hmm. This is obviously the show where you're going to be able to really dive into them as characters and defining their romance. I think much better.
Yeah. John Pott says, love seeing Wanda getting into her traditional Scarlet Witch outfit. Yeah,
cool.
we resumed the Marvel tradition of finding a silly way of showing a classic comic costume. I liked Visions too. I liked that it was baggy and ill-fitting, like something you buy at the Spirit Halloween store. Yeah. I thought that was really funny. I almost wish it had like a cheap plastic mask of the Vision with like the rubber band. I also loved all the Mind Stone calls. The window on their front door shaped like the Mind Stone. So there are lots of little like Mind Stone shapes throughout, which I thought was kind of fun, kind of cool. Finally, Ian Roth says, "Is this the first Disney MCU show? Did it flip flop with Falcon and Winter Soldier?" Yes.
Yes.
Falcon and Winter Soldier has officially been pushed to 2021, so they will be leading with WandaVision now.
Yeah, and I think people over concern, like I see a lot of people being like, oh my god, the order, it's too important to switch around. And I think people, if you really look back on, yes, there's times like in the lead up to Endgame where it mattered more, but like you could have flipped the release of Spider-Man Homecoming and Black Panther. Like, most of the time it's the post-credit scene that is the most important, and that they can even change or take out. And I think especially as we begin Phase 4, because I do think they're going to take their time to get back to big event, it will be okay. Even if we see this before Black Widow, which at this point, who knows if it's going to really open in November, I think we'll be okay for a while seeing these in any random order, and maybe they'll just have to change that final scene.
That's true. And then, even now with Disney taking back all the rights from Netflix for the TV stuff, it's like now they can have their cosmic level stuff and their street level stuff happening at the same time. And Falcon and Winter Soldier lends itself to more of the Shield. Like that would have been a Netflix hard R gritty series 3 years ago, but now Disney gets to do that too, while they also have their Space Wizards over on the other channel.
So a little bit something for everybody is what we're saying, you guys. Hey, you want to answer some questions? Then we'll get out of here.
All right.
I know Eric's a busy man, and we got a little honest trailering to do. Chid asks, do you think that Anthony Starr will get nominated for any Emmy for his performance as Homelander in The Boys?
I hope so.
Yeah, he definitely deserves it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm forgetting things, but like generally the out and out villains don't get recognized. Like it wasn't Joffrey from Game of Thrones that got the nods. But I think that he's giving enough layers of villainy to it that I hope he gets recognized for it because he's doing such a great job on that show.
Giancarlo seems to be the only one who really, like, as a villain, just gets nominated every time for playing a villain in Breaking Bad and stuff.
I think Anthony Starr is amazing. He is such a great performance right now. So I think he should get nominated. Right now, I don't think it'll happen unless The Boys overall suddenly has a big, not that it's critically well received, but I think it's not at that Watchmen level of this is prestige. It's just like, that's a fun show. So I think it's going to take that next level for it to really, because it's very rare for the Emmys to nominate like just the performance, and not be like, oh, this show's getting writing and directing and everything. And I think The Boys is great, but I just think it's not seen as an Emmy type show yet. Sure. And maybe that'll change in a year or two because he definitely deserves that nomination.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, in a perfect world, I think genre would have a much better home inside the Emmys. Bruce Campbell would have gotten a great one for Ash versus the Evil Dead. Mm-hmm. Definitely would have gotten a best lead for that show. So yeah, and The Boys, I think, again, sort of like what got mentioned earlier, that sort of like Venn diagram of we have something to say and we're a genre show. I think The Boys does it really well. They just, I don't know if there's too many exploding whales like added to the mix.
Yeah, just imagine somebody who worked on Mork and Mindy, like watching them like finger a gill hole, and they're like, nope, not for me. It's going to put off a big subset of people. It's just, that's the price you pay for being brilliant.
Yep. Yeah, that's the price you pay for finger blasting those gill holes. Jared Johnson asks, are you more excited for WandaVision than Falcon and Winter Soldier? I kind of am.
They have to be. They haven't released anything really for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, it's a nice name.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to, I'm going to give the sort of boring, like, lame political answer, I guess, because I also don't want to upset Disney because they pay us.
Yes.
But I'm kind of excited for all of them. I'm enjoying this opportunity for some of these B and C level characters to get some depth and get to be able to shine. They're all such great talents, and the big event movies are amazing, but it means sort of like we were talking about, with the Vision Scarlet Witch relationship, it means that a lot of them are just sort of relegated to yelling "yeah" every now and then during a big fight, and that's kind of all they get. So I'm really excited to see Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, kind of get to do their thing for an extended actual story.
Yeah, I'm excited for all of them, but WandaVision is just a little more intriguing for me because stylistically it just seems to be trying something different than we've seen from anything from the MCU so far. So that's just an extra layer for me to be excited about.
Spencer, you can only keep one.
I said WandaVision. I don't care about the Falcon Winter Soldier. I only like the most recent thing I've seen. So I just need to see something more recent from Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then I'll hate WandaVision and only want that show. So they need to put out a trailer in front of my face to distract me. Otherwise, it's WandaVision.
Jared Johnson asks, is there going to be a live meet-off anytime soon?
What kind of channel do you think this is, Garrett?
Are we ever going to get together and just eat some beef at each other?
It'll have to be a virtual meet-off. Eric, if you missed it, me, Joe, and Billy were on the show, and somebody challenged us or asked us how much beef we could eat in a single sitting. That sparked a lively debate. And if you'd like to be in on this meet-off, you're now welcome to join.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this might end up being like a Patreon Screen Junkies plus Super Chat kind of situation. Because I'm not going to eat excesses of meat for an audience for free. Like,
no.
That goes on
at least cover the meat cost.
Yeah, that goes on my only beef.
Gross.
Very gross. I'm so sorry that I said that out loud. Let's wrap on this question. Another very important food conversation. Just Me Eduardo asks, dipping French fries into milkshakes, yay or nay?
That's interesting. My wife introduced me to it very late in life. I mean, I was married, so it'd have to be. And I was appalled at the thought, but then I tried it, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Like, a chocolate frosty with some fries in there.
That's what I was going to ask. Was the intro Wendy specific?
Yes, it was Wendy specific. I don't think it's how I would. To me, I like them separated, but I think that there's an exciting mix. I'm not against it, but I wouldn't think to do it unless somebody said you got to try this. It's fine. Keep your salty and your sweet. I always say.
I've never tried this actually. It doesn't sound good to me, but then when I think about it, and potatoes are a pretty malleable food, so I'm not against it completely. I will say also, when I did a semester in Europe, I tried the Pulp Fiction Conversation French fries and mayonnaise and discovered I liked it. Although it might have been their mayonnaise, I don't know. So I'm open to the possibility, but I've not yet done it. But if you're saying I should try it at Wendy's, I will try to do it under those circumstances.
I think that is that's the starter kit, is Wendy's French fries into Frosties. I think.
Yep.
So guys, if you want to see Spencer and I just go at some ribs while Eric tries French fries and Frosties, make sure to subscribe to My Only Beef. And in the meantime, we'll see you guys tomorrow for an Honest Trailer Commentaries for something really fun. Right here, same time, same channel. Don't forget, Fandom 5, Friday. Thanks, guys.